If I could sum up the journey of personal transformation, I'd sum it up in 2 words, and that is self-love. So today we're going to talk about what self-love is and what it isn't. Welcome back to Growing Out Loud with me, Gurpreet from Intuitive Knowledge. So before I began this journey, I was somebody who had very little self-confidence, very little self-belief. I did not love myself. I would say I was close to loathing myself. If you ever saw me back then, or you saw pictures of me and the various stages of weight gain and weight loss that I was in, it was quite obvious that I didn't really like myself. Now, there's loads of reasons for why that is. And ultimately, we human beings have one core wound, and that is that we don't feel good enough. Now, when we're around 2 years old, we've had 2 years of unconditional love. Like, you could poop your pants, everyone thought you were still really cute. You could cry in the middle of the night, everyone thought you were cute. But when you turned 2, you started to voice opinions in the way of saying no. You started to say that you didn't want something or you wanted something. And what you were praised for yesterday, you suddenly are not praised for in the same way. And so you're learned or you're taught the word no. And you're taught that if you do that now, you're bad. If you do that now, you're wrong. And we can't, our tiny little innocent brains cannot compute that or connect what's going on. So suddenly we start to feel unloved. Now that then carries on for the rest of our lives until we wake up to it. That idea of not feeling good enough is what's driving our lives until we wake up and realize, my gosh, there is this underlying feeling I've got within me that tells me I'm not good enough. Therefore, my whole life experience is returning back to me experiences where I'm constantly reminded that I'm not good enough. But it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you think you're not good enough. Ultimately, underneath it all. And that is what's driving the experiences. Now, of course, some of the more topical, superficial experiences of self-love are necessary. Face masks, baths. But it's not about forcing yourself to say affirmations that you don't believe. It's not about forcing yourself to stay happy when you're going through a human experience. And self-love isn't a checkbox exercise. It's not something to get off your to-do list. Self-love is about showing up for self. And that can be done in so many more ways. And actually, these ways are way more important than you ever give credit for. What self-love actually is a remembrance of what you actually are, who you actually are, what you're created from. It's your inherent self-worth, you're remembering. You're not just the average human being. You are here miraculously and you're here for great things and you know that. But it's the idea that you're not worth it. And it's the idea that you can't love yourself or you shouldn't love yourself that's keeping you stuck in the idea of not enoughness. So self-love is about getting to remember who you truly are at the core of your being. It's an energetic alignment with your divine creator, with your divine source. It's reminding yourself that you are connected to the very thing that makes the sun rise. You are connected to the very thing that is behind the power of the stars and the moon and all of this. It's within you. And that's what you're getting to remember. Self-love isn't about bypassing your human experiences. It's not about bypassing your human self. It's not about trying to force yourself to feel good all the time. That is not possible. We live in a universe of ups and downs. The law of rhythm is real. You are not designed to have a static experience because there'd be no growth and change in that, and change is the only constant in the universe. You go through human experiences to experience them and move through them. We are here as spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are here to experience all the things that our ego has identified itself with and then choose to move beyond that and remember who we are and choose to create from there. And you can't do that if you are constantly poo-pooing yourself for having human experiences. We've been taught to suppress, we've been taught to hide, we've been taught to shove under the carpet. No, no. You come back, you figure out what you're feeling, and you choose to feel something different. This relationship is about being in a relationship with yourself and being in a relationship with Source. It's not about judging yourself. It's not about poo-pooing yourself. It is about loving yourself. Another reason why we don't love ourselves fully or show up for ourselves fully is because we are constantly seeking external validation. We have been taught from day dot that things outside of us make us happy. Things outside of us determine our worth. The job, the car, the money, the relationships, all of that is what tells you that you're worthy. But actually, self-love is about inner validation. It's about knowing your own inherent self-worth. It's about knowing you're worthy just because you exist. You didn't have to pay to be here on this planet. The universe created you, sent you, and you're here. You're worthy because you exist. In every cell of your being is the divine. You are utterly divine. You're divine. So self-love isn't about doing something more, adding something more to your checklist and ticking it off. It's about remembering who you are. It's a frequency of remembrance. And if you think self-love isn't vital in your business, my gosh, it absolutely is. So many spiritual workers, light workers, business owners, they operate from hypermasculinity. They operate from a space of hyper-productivity and hyper-control. Self-love actually eases all of that too. When we're not consciously aligning with the feminine energies, we are taken over by the masculine energies of do, hustle, hustle, hustle. And they carry a darker shadow to them, and they're a sure pathway to disconnection from self and source and burnout. We're not designed to do. Think of a mobile phone. It gets plugged in every night to get charged, sometimes several times a day. We close down apps to make sure that the apps aren't driving our battery down in the background. So what about yourself? When you are constantly in the do, you are not allowing the universe to step in and support you and guide you and show you the easier way, the more effortless way, the more aligned way, something that makes you feel good. And you won't know what feels good unless you show up for yourself. If you are constantly planning, pushing, doing, you're not allowing the universe to step in and support you and guide you. You've not allowed your greatest support, your greatest partner in this life, in your business, to come in and support you and guide you. And you're trying too hard. And in the trying, you're not getting to do the being. And that's what's most important, is the being, because it's never the actions that you're taking. It's the being behind the doing. It's the energy behind the things you're doing. And are they coming from a foundation of self-love? Are you showing up for yourself? And self-love isn't all cuddly and soft. It's about doing the hard things. It's about showing up for yourself. It's about creating new habits. It's about shifting into a higher identity. It's about showing up for yourself in the same way you wish somebody else would. We can't ask somebody else to show up for us in a way that we won't show up for ourselves. We can't give somebody something that we don't give ourselves. So it's time. It's time for you and I to start loving ourselves back to life and start remembering who we are, so that we don't feel bound by the world and all its trappings. We know exactly where the peace of mind is. We know exactly where to go get that love. And we know exactly how to show it to ourselves. So here's some journal prompts I'd love for you to explore for some self-awareness, just so you can start to see where you might be unconsciously not really showing up for yourself in the most loving way. Ask yourself, how am I showing up for myself? Where am I forcing something? Where am I trying to prove something? Where am I pushing something? And then ask yourself, how would I actually show up though? If I truly trusted in myself, if I truly loved myself, if I truly allowed myself to believe that the universe has me, how would I show up then? And as you're doing this, I want you to notice what comes up in your body, not just what's happening in your head. Where are you feeling any sensations in your body? Maybe write those out. That's all energy moving in your body. And This is the key. Getting to know yourself on every level, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically, because you are a whole being. And we've been so disconnected from all these parts of ourselves that we can't make sense of it. But we're here, we're making sense of it together. I know I'm just going to do so many more videos on this because self-love is the key. It is the absolute key. And it's got nothing to do with how you look. It's got nothing to do with how much you weigh. It's got everything to do with how you feel about yourself and what you know yourself to be. So get to knowing yourself and get to loving yourself, because you, my friend, you're magnificent. I wish you peace and blessings in all things, always, and I will see you next week.